Zoom meetings.
Day drinking.
Yeah, there we go. Another one that hits home.
Times are good, my friends, and I am thirsty. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of This My Bourbon podcast. I'm your host, Perry. Curtis and Swan are virtually here with me, but they are physically in isolation, practicing good social distancing skills. Skills? Not skills. Practices. Whatever. Guys, welcome back to the show.
What's up?
It's a skill, Perry. I can hide from people forever.
Even when you're not forced to.
Even when nobody asked.
Yeah, it's like playing hide and go seek, but instead of staying in like a general 100 feet area, you just get in your car and go home.
It wasn't until, Andy Bashir gave you a reason to actually do it that you felt like it was appropriate to do it. But you still did it anyway.
Yeah, been doing this since birth. I'm so good at it.
Yeah, healthy at home, man.
You're a real Milford man. The Arrested Development. Anyway, sorry. Hey, hope everybody is doing okay in isolation, in quarantining. Of course, as always, we hope that everybody is staying as healthy as possible. And, if you or someone you know has been affected by the coronavirus, COVID-19, our thoughts, of course, go out to all of y'all. And it sucks to have to deal with some of these things. But you know what? It's for the greater good. And we can get through this, and we can get through this together. So, a great man once said that. He's the governor of our state.
Oh, man, the Andy Bashir memes.
It's so funny to watch. Yeah.
I think we owe Andy Bashir a drink when all of this is over. I think he needs to come on the podcast, and we just shower him with gifts.
Yes.
That man just needs a vacation. He does.
He deserves one, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he started out in suit jacket to no suit jacket, unbuttoned shirt to polo.
Eventually, he's just going to show up on the screen naked, and we're going to be like, I get it.
Yeah, I understand, man.
We understand, buddy.
He hasn't slept in probably months.
Poor guy. Yeah, so we'll have to try to get Andy to come and hang out with us for a drink or two.
Yeah,
we know all this settles down. But in the meantime, a couple of things up top. We are recording this the day after some very exciting news dropped. Not in the world of bourbon, but in the world of the Pear Bear. And Pear Bear is no longer just him and the bear wife. There's going to be a bear cub coming in.
Bear wife.
The bear wife. I'm very tired too. I was spent the entirety of yesterday conversing with people and telling them about everything that's been going on, and I'm very excited, but I'm pretty tired today. So I can only imagine what it's going to be like in 6 months.
For sure.
Man, but we're super excited. That means that the bourbon room is unfortunately going to be no more here in a few months. But we will still find a way to make this show happen. And either way, super excited. Can't wait for it. But we're going to drink some bourbon in the meantime. So
I call drinking in the crib.
I am sitting about where the crib's going to go. So
can it support 200 pounds and 3 glasses of bourbon? Because it's going to need to. Where else am I going to record?
We'll find out, Swan.
Okay.
That'd be real funny. We just set up in here and we just wake the baby up. Hey,
surprise,
kid.
It's Swan.
Hey, kid, it's time to do a podcast. Get up. Get up.
God. Oh, I'll prepare you for childhood.
I can hear the therapy bills already.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, some kids are just little drunk people, they're just floating around, Anyways,
Running into stuff.
bourbon, flying blind. I've
So, yeah,
already
so
poured some.
flying blind, guys.
Yes, flying blind. Let's do it. So, Swan,
Yep.
let's talk about flying blind for a minute. Curtis brought to my attention that he does not have much left.
Oh, I've got more than half.
So I
How much
figured.
have you been having?
I mean, a good amount, but I don't know. I have things to do, Kurt. I have to get off the podcast and participate in life.
I guess so. I mean, I've literally only had just like a little pour for each podcast for Flying Blind.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can go all in. This podcast can be a mess.
Yeah,
Sleep
I guess so.
deprivation, alcohol. I'm going to be yelling at squirrels after this.
I think Allie might be stealing your bourbon there, Swan or Kurt.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. But anyway.
So what I was going to say is that I figure that means that I'm just going to reveal to you guys what this is today, because Kurt doesn't really have enough to keep going after this week. So what we'll do is we'll do the same thing that we've been doing for the past couple of weeks, where we taste it blind, or these guys taste it blind, give their notes and everything, and then they'll give a guess as to what they think it is. And then I will this week actually reveal to them what it is that they've been drinking for the past 3 weeks. So, has this changed much on the nose for you guys since last week?
It's a little more ethanol-y for me this
Yeah,
week.
Yeah, for me, I get a little bit more of the ethanol, but I also, for me, it's been about the same. I had a sip of it too, and on the palate, it's pretty similar to last week too.
See, for me this week, it's kind of taken a whole different area. I've always felt like this one's been fruity since I've been given the sample, and now I'm getting almost like a butterscotchy nose on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's hard to pick out with all the ethanol, but I am using a different glass this week.
The palate, weirdly for me, it has gotten hotter, and it also is really presenting some of the dark, char notes from the barrel as well.
Yeah.
Ooh. This has consistently been good. I think that this is the best week of it so far, though.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'm going to do one more guess, and I think I'm going to go with crap, I forgot the name. What's the 101 barrel picks you can do of Wild Turkey?
Kentucky Spirit.
Kentucky Spirit. I think it's a pick of that.
I'm gonna leave it. I think I just want to know.
Well, Kurt, you said it was Kentucky. You said it was a Dusty Turkey last week as well. It's interesting that you guys both went with turkey products this week. Not because it is a turkey product, but it has turkey product in it. I totally threw you guys for a loop. This is a blend.
Okay.
Knew it. Called it first week.
Yes, you did. Yes. Well, you did, but you didn't get the blend specifically correct.
Did I, though?
No.
How dare you, Swan, not know the exact blend?
I tried.
Watch it be
interesting.
It's like a third blend of 2/4 of this, and
I will say though, I did the math on the proof too. Kurt, you actually got the closest in proof guessing.
Nice. What I was at a 115 or something like that.
You settled on 112 on the first week. It actually comes out to 113.2 proof.
Pretty close then.
Yeah. So, here's what this is. It is a blend, equal parts, of E.H. Taylor Small Batch, the Evan Williams Derby 2019 Single Barrel, Rare Breed, and 1792 Full Proof.
Huh.
How was I supposed to guess that?
Yeah, I know, but I just wanted to see what you guys might be able to pick out from it.
Oh.
Well, we got the turkey for sure.
I feel bamboozled.
Feel cod swallowed.
Yeah. It is good. I enjoy it. It's really strange how fruity it is for some of those being what I consider to be kind of darker, heavier, like especially the full proof. I always get bananas and pain. Like that's basically the notes I get from that.
And pain. God, that's good. I love that.
I don't know what that would come from. What would you think out of all those, out of the ones you said would bring more of the floral, more of the fruity?
Honestly, I don't really know either. Maybe the Evan Williams.
Yeah.
I think there's a possibility that could be where it was coming from. I don't know though. Taylor Small Batch is not really ever very fruity to me.
No, but it's not ever like a darker that I get either.
No, it's just very like classic traditional style bourbon.
Yeah.
I guess you would call it.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew you guys were never going to really be able to guess it 100% of the way. I'm sorry.
I don't care. I'm just happy that I got to have it.
Yeah.
Because
But
I mean, it's
Go ahead.
really good.
I'm glad to hear because I just kind of did it on the fly.
Oh yeah.
Because I had this idea. Because what we had been talking about before all this kind of hit was, or before we really decided that we were going to do all this in lockdown, was how are we going to do Flying Blind still? And I was like, well, I'll just do like a blend or something for them. And it basically turned into this. But the planning process basically just came down to me going into the studio and picking up the bottles that I saw and blending it together. So here it is. And I'm glad you guys like it. I really am glad that it turned out at least drinkable, but it seems like it was a little bit more than that.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. If I had all the stuff to do it again, I'd blend it myself.
And I would be interested to try this in different capacities too. Like maybe not use the Derby Evan Williams, maybe use just like a regular Evan Williams single barrel or the bottled and bond or something like that. So
Yeah, interestingly enough, you picked stuff you could get lower proof versions of it. So I wondered if you could make a lower proof version of this, like with the 1792 small batch. The Taylor would have to stay the same. You could get turkey.
okay, so unfortunately, Curtis was having some pretty difficult technical problems over on his end. So we unfortunately have to do the rest of the episode without him. But you know, you still got the two of us. Isn't that right, Swanee?
That's right.
Sweet. Well, Swan, what have you been drinking recently in quarantine?
Recently, I've been having more of a Knob Creek pick, more early times, and surprisingly, a decent amount of larceny.
Really?
Yeah, no, I've been enjoying larceny quite a bit. I've got a pick and then a regular bottle as well, and they're both good. I do enjoy the pick better. Who doesn't enjoy
And that's
a good pick?
Is that the Why So Delicious pick?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Good stuff. So I've been drinking a whole myriad of different things. We celebrated yesterday, of course, with some special bottles. The Turkey 13 year. I pulled out my Michter's 10 year that you got for me.
Oh yeah, that one's good.
Yeah, quite good, man. And I actually bought a Knob Creek pick as well last week from Liquor Barn. It's an 11-year-old pick called the B-Dub Special Number 3. It is very good. But I realized that I didn't have as much 120 proof bourbon as I was hoping, and I was kind of going through some of it in hopes of preventing and killing off any chance of having the coronavirus. So, figured it was a good time to pick up another bottle. So I just Knob Creek picks, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm honestly thinking about getting just a regular like 9-year-old no pick just to see how that is because I haven't had that in so long.
I'm considering doing the same.
Yeah, and honestly, it's great bourbon, and I feel like if I get a good pick, I won't touch it because I need an occasion, which shouldn't be the it shouldn't be that way, but for me in my head, I feel like that's how it is. And if I get that 9-year one, it's just like I'm just drinking tonight, just having some Knob Creek, no big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. But another thing that I've been drinking, or something else that I did, was I had Clifton, listener of the show, friend of the show, on my Thursday night live stream, and I subsequently was on his right afterwards as well. And we did a bunch of home blends. We did the exact same things through and through. Really fun little episode, little live stream. So if you guys want to go check that out, it's over on the YouTube page, youtube.com/This Is My Bourbon Podcast. So go and check that out. And I think I've mentioned before, but I'm doing Thursday night live streams again for the
Heck yes.
foreseeable future. Once the baby comes along, things will probably change up a little bit, but we'll talk about that closer to the time. We don't have to worry about it now. It's future Perry's problem.
Exactly.
But we had some really cool blends on there, so go check that out. Swan, do you want to get into the news of the week?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna pour something good. I'm feeling some Elmer T. Lee. I'm gonna get into
Oh
some
man,
of that.
I have Elmer T. Lee at your old place right before you moved?
I think so. I've had
I
the
think
same
that
bottle for a long time. I've really been nursing it.
I think I said something to you like, I haven't had this in a while, and you were like, go for it. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
Anyways,
Well,
the news today, I'm excited
yes.
about. There's a bunch of like really interesting off the beaten path type stuff. Not so much TT
Mm-hmm.
focus this week, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm. I will also join you in pouring something else. I'm just going to go for some Weller Antique from my handle. Did you get this handle for me, by the way, Swan?
Maybe it's been a
We were talking
while.
about we were talking about it on the stream the other night, and I cannot for the life of me remember where this came from.
I know at one point I had 3 handles of 107. I don't know. One of them I had to unfortunately get rid of. The other 2 they have disappeared because they are not here. I don't know where they went.
I must have gotten one from you then.
Yeah, maybe. Either
So.
way, it's the right amount of Weller Antique right there.
Yes. I need more if I can ever do that. Who's to say it? But I might be done buying Weller Antique forever at this point because it's so hard to find, and I just hate that the price went up so much.
Yeah, no, it's difficult. And even when you do find it, you want it to match all the rest of your screw tops that you have, and it's got that giant gold cork, and you're like, this isn't what I remember. I want the screw cap.
Yeah, unfortunately. And it's so strange that Antique got the cork before Weller 12 did.
Yeah, that is weird because it's definitely like as far as premium goes, I would think the 12 is probably the best out of the lineup as far as premium, but nope.
No.
Not according to Buffalo Trace.
They are the deciding factor, I guess.
They are.
So. Well, let's talk about this first bit of news. This is really interesting. Garrison Brothers is offering up a bottle to those who donate to the Good Bourbon for Good Cause partnership with Team Rubicon. They're working to help out with areas that have been heavily affected by COVID-19. So I might have said this. They're releasing 2,000 bottles to these people who donate to this cause. And you have to, this is crazy. It's for people who contribute $1,000 or more.
That's nuts.
That's a lot for a Texas bourbon. And I mean, not to say that Texas bourbon is bad, but shoot, man, it's 8 years old.
Yeah, no, $1,000 bottle of bourbon needs to be a little more. I don't know, not Texas, not 8 years old. But I mean, it's going to a good cause, so it's hard to get mad. And the packaging is wild.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah,
I think it's really pretty. It's called the Laguna Madre. It's 101 proof. and it's got white wax on it, which is kind of a cool look. But it was aged, of course, in oak barrels for 4 years, and then interestingly enough, it was aged for 4 more years in French oak barrels. It says it gives it distinct flavors of vanilla, sweet candy, cacao, and thick white chocolate that an experienced bourbon drinker won't ever forget. So there's more to it, by the way. And this is also coming from a Forbes.com article. It says the first 2,004 people to contribute $1,000 or more to Team Rubicon will receive a bottle of Laguna Madre. Donating $100 will give you the opportunity to have anything from the distillery's gift shop, and a donation of $500 or more gets you a reserved bottle of Boot Flask and 1 bottle of Honeydew. I'm assuming those are both releases from from Garrison Bros.
I'm gonna guess, yeah.
But this is interesting. I think that I'm kind of two minds about this. The first off is great. Thank you, Garrison Brothers, for offering something up like this to people who, maybe not would have gone, oh, I don't think I'm going to donate. But, there is now this opportunity for somebody if you're, looking to find something in response to, donating to relief and aid for people. This is a good opportunity to do that. But this is it's a lot of money for a bottle.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I'm glad that they're doing something. It's a steep price, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it is.
I want to know what Honeydew and Boot Flask are.
I mean, let's take a quick look at the old Googles there. Honeydew. Okay, so from the Garrison Brothers website, it says our newest handcrafted experimental features Burleson's Texas wildflower honey. So it's bourbon infused with local honey, and it's 80 proof. Interesting. Is that the highest proof bourbon, honey bourbon that we've ever seen?
No, the Bell Mead. But that's finished in honey barrels, right?
That is true.
Yeah, that one's up there, and then after that, it dips down to like 70.
And the Boot Flask is basically just a 375 of their small batch bourbon. It's 94 proof. I think that's about it.
It's about
nothing
it.
Terribly special.
That's fair. I don't know. I need to find out if they've got something approachable in price for Garrison Brothers, because a lot of their stuff is pretty pricey, and the proof never gets super wild unless you pay a good amount. Because like even this one that they're doing for 1,000, it's 101 proof.
So do you think that we'll start seeing, maybe not more distilleries, but we'll start seeing more people offering up an opportunity like this for those who donate to COVID relief?
Yeah, I think so. I think honestly, we've got a few things that people will start donating for, because I've seen more charitable causes attached to bourbon pop up in the last like 4 months than I think I've ever had. I mean, we've got all those people making hand sanitizer right now and shifting away from, the tour lifestyle and constantly having people boasting about their brand to just handing out hand sanitizer. Like Heaven Hill the other day actually came to a lot of the Kroger employees in the Louisville area and handed out hand sanitizer for free.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, great. And that's just like the kind of outreach that, it's just wild to see, because these are brands that don't just appeal to Kentucky and the people around them, but like nationwide. And for them to care about what's going on in their backyard and making that shift, it's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think that that's just kind of, the trend that we're going to see for a while is, distilleries helping out communities in the best way that they can. And, I'm all for it. Good on them. Mm-hmm. I want to talk to you about this too. This is kind of a side topic, but I think it's something that begs to be at least addressed right now. Not only are distilleries not producing their normal products right now, but we are kind of at a point where there's a chance that we won't see these yearly releases come out when they're supposed to. I mean, and I'm talking like Booker's, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, even all the way maybe down to the antique collection come the fall, or any of these yearly limited releases that we get. And the reason that I kind of feel this way is because, and I'll use a very specific example, even though there are some caveats with it. Booker's 30th changed just like a couple months before it actually went to customers, right?
Yeah. It went from a
And
16 year to a blend, right?
right. Well, it was still a blend, but it had a 16-year in it, didn't it? And they took it out. Am I wrong on that?
I thought it went from like a full 16 year to like a 9 mixed with a 16. But either
Maybe
way,
that's what it was. Yeah, but my point with that is that these distilleries aren't necessarily starting out January 1st and picking out each of the blends that are going to be coming out, each of the releases that are going to be coming out for the entire year. So, I mean, they could have been waiting until, this month to have done the B519 of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof and Larceny Barrel Proof. The Jim Beam could have been waiting until 2 months before the next Booker's came out to finalize the blend. I mean, there's so much that goes into it that kind of leads me to believe that we're not going to see distilleries putting out their yearly releases on time this year. What do you think about that? Am I off, or what do you think?
I think some of them are going to have time to get that like November date probably settled in and release their product. But the ones that are honestly scaring me more is people who haven't talked about products that they're releasing in quite a while. So look at like Elijah Craig Rye. Or when are they supposed to be expanding distribution? I've not heard anything. Look at Wild Turkey Rare Breed Rye. I've not heard anything this year, and this was supposed to come out early this year. It's all been pushed. I mean, I've not heard anything more about their Master's Keep Bottled and Bond, the 17 year they're putting out. There's just all these releases that last year they said, hey, these are, coming your way, or they hit TTB, and then this year it's just nothing. It's very
Yeah.
strange. And I get like, so when a limited release comes out, like when you have the Four Roses limited edition, or you have the BTAC releases, there is no doubt in their mind that if they make 10,560 bottles, that all 10,560 are going to sell. I mean, that's never really a big question for them, because they know that's going to sell. And with a new release like Rare Breed Rye, they might be waiting until the market's, going again before they decide, okay, well, we'll dump this into the distributor's, lap now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not saying that we're going to see, a shortage of like Jim Beam white label. I mean, that's still going to exist. We're still going to see the standard offerings, I imagine. But it was something that hit me the other day where I was like, oh, we might not get B519 for a while.
Yeah.
And I got sad for a second, but anyway.
Because now it's
that was
both B519s.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see, I guess. I don't know. This next bit of news, this is really cool. And actually, I have a little bit of not super in depth, but kind of a personal side to this as well. So this comes from fortune.com, and unfortunately about two-fifths of this article is behind a paywall, but the gist of it, and it's something that I wanted to talk about on the show a while ago and just haven't had the chance to yet. Two Worlds Whiskey is a brand of bourbon that is being released in France. This is the first bourbon or really American whiskey that is being released just for the French market. And the woman who is behind it, Ashley Donahue, I actually got to meet her and hang out with her just a little bit. I'm not going to say that we had in-depth conversations or anything, but she talked with Will and the Grease at Whiskey Weekend and talked about her new bourbon that was going to be coming out. And she is so excited and passionate about this product. And I want to try it so badly. Dixon Deadman tried it and he thought it was really good. Like, to have that seal of approval is something really special.
Yeah, is it going to be available here at all, or is the goal to export all of it?
You can order it online to have it shipped to the US.
Oh, okay.
So,
I like the labeling for it. It's nice. I don't know. It's interesting because we have so much that gets exported already, but it's just not specifically for the French market.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've got the one that I was the most jealous of recently, and I know you saw it too. Was that father and son collaboration, the 13-year that was in the rare breed bottle from Wild Turkey?
Right.
That one.
Yeah.
We just don't get it here.
No.
I don't know.
No. And then there's like there's a Master's Keep that you can't even get in the US. You can only get it in Australia. The Wild Turkey 1894.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting that, and it's just strange to me. Typically, whiskey that we know without the E is like 90 proof. Most of it doesn't get super cask strength. And they're putting out this one, and it looks like it's 54.7.
So that's a 109.4 proof.
Yeah, so it's up
That's
there.
pretty awesome.
So I don't know, that could be potentially kind of a harsh introduction, but I have to imagine they're already drinking bourbon, or there wouldn't be a market for them to make this. It's just not, any bourbon that's specifically targeted towards them.
Right. Right.
But no, that's interesting. I do want to try it.
Yeah. Agreed. And if we can get it for the show, we'll definitely do so. We'll have to try to get Ashley on the show too. She actually lives over in France. She's from Louisville, but she lives over there right now. And maybe while she's in quarantine, she'd like to Skype into the show and we chat with her about this product. So who's to say? Anything can happen at this point.
Yeah.
Swan, you brought this next bit of news to my attention, actually.
Yeah. So we I think it was last year we went to Bourbon and Beyond, and one of the booths there was, and forgive me if I pronounce this incorrectly, Broth Brothers Whiskey. And
Did you say Bourbon and Beyond?
no, yeah, I did. Bourbon on the Banks. My bad.
I wanted to make sure that we were on the same page. I got worried for a second.
Yeah. No, we're on the same page. I'm just catching up a little bit. Well, recently it went from just that booth that I saw at that event to now they're getting some pretty wide distribution, and it's their first that they've put out, but it's also it seems like they've got a decent head on their shoulders after talking to the guy that was there. It's based out of Louisville. And it's three brothers. It's a black owned distillery, which apparently is very unique. I don't think we have another one of those in Kentucky. And for it to be coming out of the west end of Louisville is nice. I like seeing more come out of the west end of Louisville because there's a lot of people that try to avoid parts of it down there, but like Michter's is right in the middle of Shively, and it's they're keeping it true to their nature, whether or not you want to be down there or not. So I appreciate that they're keeping it so close to home and really making a product they're proud of. That being said, I've not had it, so I don't know if it's any good. I do want to try it. The price point I think is around 50-ish.
It is actually around $30.
30. Then I might be getting a bottle.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, and we tried to get him on, but he was busy. He was getting questions like crazy because people wanted to try his stuff.
He was slammed with business. Well,
Yeah.
People coming over to his booth to meet him and talk about it and everything. there is actually another African American owned distillery in Kentucky, and it's the Fresh Bourbon Distillery, which is, I guess they're starting up still, but they're going to be in Lexington.
Yeah.
So there's a couple, but this is really cool to see. I think that they're doing something really fascinating. And I'm interested in trying it too. Yeah, we didn't get the chance to have it when we were at Bourbon on the Banks. But you can follow them on Twitter. It's spelled BROUGH Brothers. So you can understand. We're not sure if it's the bro, like pronounced like though or broth or whatever it is, but. Yeah, go check out that guy. Those guys. We did get to chat with him for a minute, and he seemed really excited about his brand and really excited about the product that they were going to be putting out. So I'm looking forward to at least trying it and seeing where they go in the future.
Yeah. And then going back to some more standard releases, we got the Old Charter Oak is coming out with another one, which I'm doing the first part because I want Perry to pronounce what it's aged in because I don't know what that is. But
I was wondering, I was like, wow, Swan's really taking the reins here. This is awesome.
Nope. Dropping them right now. There you go.
I think it's pronounced Chinkapin, Chinkapin, oak.
Sure.
So yeah, we'll go with that.
What kind of
There's a
dog is
whole. They put out a press release about it this week. I'm reading the abbreviated information from at the Bourbon News on Twitter. It said these large trees are often found in parks and on large estates. For this release, the small number of barrels with staves air dried for 24 months before being made into barrels. They used a number 4. No, they used like a number 3 char on it. Interesting.
Okay.
Mash bill number 1, aged for 9 years and bottled at 93 proof, rather. And this is the 4th release in the Old Charter Oak collection. The suggested retail price is $70.
Ha! It was just April Fool's, so I'll give it to him. It's not going to be $70. It's going to be $70 for a 2-ounce pour, but it's not going to be $70.
Well, and
it's not like
it
Buffalo
also
Trace
is
to do anything about it.
Yeah, true. But it also says that it's supposed to be available in limited quantities this month. I'm not so sure if that's going to happen. But I'm excited to, potentially try it. I don't know, man. I want to try it.
The only one I got to try was the Mongolian oak.
See, I tried the French oak and thought it was quite good.
Yeah. I mean, the one that I've tried, great. Was it worth the $220 price tag that I saw it at the one time I did actually see it? Absolutely not.
Sure.
But hey, if you've started this collection, more power to you. Get out there and get you a bottle.
So, this is something we don't normally talk about on the show, but I think that it needs to be talked about because the TTB is shaking up a little bit some of the ways that they are defining whiskey, or at least defining American bourbon, and it's a lot. And we're not going to touch on everything, but it has gone through that they are going to they have proposed new regulations modernizing alcohol and the Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau. I don't think we've ever really talked about what TTB stands for, but the full name is the Treasury Department's Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau. So that's where the TTB comes from. Anyway, I'm pulling a lot of this information from Scoo's Recent Eats on Twitter. You can find him at Scoo's Recent Eats, SKU. He said the top line is they did very little. The proposed regulations published in 2018 included a lot requiring states of distillation for whiskey, defining cask strength in white whiskey, making clear that no additives can be in bourbon. None of that's in the final. That is wild to me. I don't understand why we have this kind of nationally, internationally understood definition of what bourbon is, but the TTB hasn't actually gone through and legally defined it on their end.
Yeah, that is strange.
Yeah. They did reject a number of proposals that were controversial, including that, quote, oak barrel be defined as a 50-gallon barrel and that secondary barrels can't be counted in age statements. So we were talking earlier about that Garrison Brothers release that was age stated at 8 years, but it spent 4 of those years in a French oak barrel. So if they had passed that, it would have only been able to have been called a 4-year-old bourbon. SKU also says, and unfortunately, they made the issue of straight whiskey more vague. Under current regulations, straight whiskey must be labeled as such. Under the new regulations, it's optional to list a whiskey as straight, even if it qualifies.
Yeah.
That is mind-boggling to me.
Well, I mean, just to show you how broken this system is that they need to fix, I just sent you a link here. There's one bourbon I saw on the shelf a while back, and the name of it is Pritchard's Double Chocolate Bourbon Whiskey. So look at that label.
It's very hard to read.
Yeah, but let's
first and foremost.
So break this down. It's Pritchard's Double Chocolate Bourbon Whiskey with natural flavors added. So they're able to call it bourbon whiskey and then put a clarifier on it after, but no one's freaking out about it. I mean,
I haven't heard anything about this. This is the first time I've ever seen this label.
Yeah, but I mean, is that not strange to you?
No, it absolutely is.
Yeah, I mean, that's just odd to me. Are they like grandfathered in?
I honestly don't know. I don't know anything about this company, this product, nothing. Do you know anything about it, Swan?
Other than just walking by the label and going, "Oh, this is not right. Someone take this off the shelf. Get this fixed." And we've also got another release that's actually out from the TTB this week that we can tear into here in a few minutes. That's got more issues.
Yeah. We will talk about that in just a minute. But I think honestly, it's kind of a shame that the TTB, which people have really relied on, just for clarification in the past. That it was just very much the opposite of progress. It's very strange. It's very, very strange. Yeah. But it does seem like there were other spirits that were given a little bit more clarification. Vodka even got a new definition. It says that it must be without distinctive character, aroma, taste, or color. Now it's just a neutral spirit that may include sugar or citric acid and can't be aged in wood. So, hooray for vodka, I guess. But
proud of them.
Weird day for bourbon in that regard. Speaking of bourbon and whiskey in general, there are some TTB labels that did make it through this week. The first one is not necessarily a new product, but it is a new release, I guess, or a new way of releasing this one. And interestingly enough, it's the Maker's Mark 101, which previously was only available in duty-free shops at airports, and then subsequently was also available at the distillery. And so I guess people were not happy about how limited it was, and Maker's Mark responded with a limited release of it. And it says as such on the front of the bottle. And it seems to retain most of the packaging that it did beforehand, But the back of the bottle now says, "While not everyone can visit our distillery in Laredo, Kentucky, we've bottled this 101 proof limited release, so you too can experience the bolder side of our refined wheated bourbon as we have shared it with special guests at our distillery for generations." What do you think about this one?
I am not a fan of it, to be honest.
Not a fan, really.
Yeah, so this just feels weird to me. This feels like you're repackaging a release you were already going to put out. Because did you feel like they weren't going to put out another run of it later this year? I mean, I got the gist of it. They've been putting out all sorts of different stuff. I mean, last year they put out that sampler pack of 3. They've been getting a little more bold with what they're willing to expand in the Maker's line over the past like 2 or 3 years.
I don't know, man. I don't think that this was. I think that at some point they probably said, "Hey, you know, we want to put this out for a wider audience." But I don't honestly have that much of a problem with it. I think it's kind of exciting because I do like the 101 quite a bit. I think it's really good. So I think it's cool that it's being released to more people at this point. I don't think it's as much of a cop out as you kind of seem like you do.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that it shouldn't be a limited release. It seems weird to, like go back on somebody saying, "Hey, I wish this wasn't so limited," and then you putting limited release on the bottle. And then also putting a small blurb on the back that basically says, "Yeah, we know it was super limited, but we're going to limit it again." I mean, that's just that just seems a little strange.
That is totally valid, and I think that with that in mind, there are other products that potentially they could have put out as a limited release instead of this 101 proof again. But at the same time, I would like to own a bottle of it myself. I don't currently, but I have had it on a few occasions. And, if this means that I don't have to drive an hour and a half basically out into the middle of nowhere to visit the distillery, and I could potentially drive 10 minutes to my liquor store to buy it instead, I'm in favor of that personally.
True, but also think about what's going on right now. This would have been perfect to have Kurt here, but Keeneland's closed, right? Who's buying all of the Keeneland product that they would have been selling through like crazy right now these past 2 weeks? Why couldn't they have done like a specialty, like this is our Keeneland blend release and pushed it out to stores like this or something like that, because all of their clients that they do those limited releases specifically for them, those can get pushed out to stores. We've seen it because Keeneland's done the Keeneland Mercantile push out before. Why not offer that to everybody? Like the 101's been done. I feel like honestly it should just be on the regular shelf. Maybe it costs a little more, but I don't know. It just feels weird to me.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been a great opportunity to use up some products that would have gone to some of your bigger, relationships you have in business.
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm excited for it. I know that, Makers is going to have another limited release at some point this year.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. I'd like to hear what other people think. Send us a tweet at MyBourbonPod or send us an email, thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. Let us know what you think about this. I'm interested to hear what some of the public are thinking about it. This next one is what is going to be one of the forthcoming Single Cask Nation releases, which if you don't know anything about them, you can look them up. I'll throw a link in the description below to their website so you can find out more about them. This is a straight rye whiskey from Single Cask Nation, that was sourced from Whistle Pig. It's a 12-year-old bottle of rye. It says it's 61.3 proof. So what is that? 122.6. I think this is cool. They always do really limited releases for the Single Cask Nation.
450 bottles.
Yeah, distilled December 2005, bottled March 2020. My favorite part of this label, though, is where it says it was distilled. It says distilled at a distillery in Indiana. Swan, I wonder what distillery that could be.
Probably Buffalo Trace. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, I mean, at this point, just put from MGP. You know, it's perfectly fine because Whistle Pig takes it out there and makes very, very special product with the stuff they receive.
Yeah,
There should be no shame in that.
no, no, and Whistle Pig is well regarded, and I think that honestly, MGP is at this point too. I don't think that MGP is shunned as much as people would like to assume that it is. I think that they put out good product.
They do, and honestly, I kind of think it's amazing the way that they do all of the stuff that they do. Like they supply all these barrels, and then they still put out their own products. And to be honest, they're giving the good product not to themselves half the time. Like the Remus line and the Rossville Union Rye, I've had them. They're decent.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell someone's definitely got a very specific palate, and they look for the things that they do in that bourbon because it's very consistent, but it's not for me. And then I go and get something from Whistle Pig, and I'm like, this is the same distillery. What is going on? Like they don't always save the best stuff for themselves, and that's nuts.
Yeah, for sure. So I would like to try this one again. It's so hard to get a bottle of anything from Single Cask Nation. Not only are they super limited, but it's also fairly expensive, and you have to be a part of a lottery too, basically to get in on it. So I don't know, man.
It's worth it. I think it's worth it.
Sure. And they've done like turkey products in the past too.
Oh yeah,
Like a barrel proof turkey product.
that would be amazing. I feel like
I tried it at Rarebird 101's meetup last year, and it was phenomenal.
I
It
bet
was absolutely spectacular. So it's not like they're putting out bad stuff by any means. It's just hard to get to.
No, I mean it's just like an amazing single barrel, you know. But it's definitely more than a single barrel. It looks like it's probably about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But still, you know, that's just nuts. And I love how in depth they've gone on the label here, with like kind of pinpointing, you know, floral, sweet, rich, nutty, spicy, earthy, smoky, and oaky. They've given it like a little chart to show you know, where it leans on the flavor profile stuff.
And I'm sure that there are other releases that they've done that with before, which kind of to me indicates that it might be, geared towards the people who, they're like, oh, maybe I'll pass out on this one, or pass out. I'm going to fall asleep right on this bottle. But maybe it's a product that, they don't like the smokiness of it, or they don't like how spicy it is. So they're like, well, I'll wait for the next one. So I think that, if there's somebody who isn't a completionist or doesn't suffer from FOMO, it would be a good way for them to, kind of pick and choose what they want to go through and buy.
Yeah. But this last one, Perry, we got another
this last one is a train wreck of a label, dude.
So you want to talk about TTB not making it clear to our consumers when we're talking about bourbon, whiskey, and rye whiskey. This one is 10 cups straight rye mountain whiskey, or straight mountain rye whiskey.
I don't know what's going on with this thing, man.
That's just the neck tag. That's just the neck tag. And then the thing with the actual UPC on it, the little scan bar. I'm going to read this verbatim because I think it's important you understand all of the issues. Yikes. Okay. 10 Cup Whiskey is a blend of 2 great American whiskeys, each aged in number 3 charred oaked barrels. High rye bourbon, distilled and aged in Indiana, is blended with a small amount of Colorado single malt whiskey. These whiskeys these whiskeys are then cut with Rocky Mountain water. 10 Cup is named for Colorado's mining pioneers and the 10 cups that they drank their whiskey, or which they drank their whiskey. Enjoy. Okay, first off, It's hard for me to hear straight rye whiskey and then you talk about a single malt. That's just
This was a
odd.
horrible oversight. I think somebody just really screwed the pooch on this one, to be honest.
Yeah, so you have high rye bourbon, which is not a rye, and then you have then then you have oh man, I just can't believe this made it through. Single malt whiskey, and you've blended the two. So at no point are you raising the rye content on this, and then you slap a you slap a straight rye
Straight rye
whiskey
whiskey.
on there.
Well, honestly, I think that somebody must have gotten confused. I don't
Very,
think it was Tin Cup. I think it must have been the TTB.
my favorite part is
Because,
I'm not done. I just found something else.
yeah, I think you're probably talking about what I was about to talk about, so go for it.
Yeah, the alcohol by volume. Up at the top is 45% on the neck tag, and then on the back of the label, it's 42%. Did someone sit on their keyboard? What is going on right now?
They told a 4-year-old to do math.
Yeah. And this whole cut with Rocky Mountain water thing, great. Proud of you. Like, is there bits of gold in it? Is it Goldschlager, the bourbon whiskey?
Honestly, like this is more just bringing it up because nothing's perfect in this world at this point, and it's really kind of funny to me that this actually got through to the website. But I
Oh,
do like this kind of roll of the dice approach to this product. Like, we don't know what we're gonna get. Maybe we'll
Perry,
actually get a rye. Maybe we'll get a grain neutral spirit.
it gets better. Are you ready for this?
Go for it.
So look at section 8 of the TTB. Name and address of applicant as shown on plant registry, basic permit, brewer's notice, all that. Look at where it's coming from. Look where it's submitted from. Lawrenceburg, Indiana. What are you shipping Rocky Mountain water all the way across the United States just to bottle this stuff?
It's another MGP. Amazing. That's amazing.
Oh,
Thanks for pulling that nugget out there, Swan.
yeah. It's just this is just bad. This is bad.
Gosh.
And I've had Tin Cup, the original. It is a great whiskey to shoot. It is. I mean, that is what it is. They give you a shot glass with the bourbon because you literally screw off the little top part of it, and it's just a shot glass. So they know their target market with this stuff. It's not like someone sitting there and really, really enjoying it.
Somebody
I
I
don't
know
get it.
really likes Tin Cup.
Well, they have
Who
a
is it?
10-year. Did you know that? They have a 10-year Tin Cup, and I've heard it's atrocious.
That's hard to say.
And then the apparently the regular Tin Cup, people actually enjoy it. It's got like a slight maple syrupy thing going on with it,
Sure.
which is strange, but I mean I could see people enjoying that. And then this is just an abomination.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? I'm not thinking of Tin Cup. I'm thinking of Stranahan's.
Stranahan's, there's some people that really do enjoy it. And I love their model where they have people come in and bottle for them, and then they write on the side just little quotes or funny things, and then you pick up a bottle and like one will say "Go Bears," and the next one will be like "My wife's cheating on me," and then the next one will be just random stuff, and it's just they all wrote it on the side of the bottle.
That's amazing. Now I really want to do that.
Yeah, and you just go in
We'll
and
get
you
Chad and
volunteer
Sarah
to
to do
bottle.
it, and it says we'll get Chad and Sarah to do it, and it says drink more bourbon.
Yeah, drink more bourbon, not this. You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure it's an American single malt for most of them,
Yeah, I think it is too.
or an American whiskey. But still, that's just this is bad. This is so bad. As soon as I find it, I'm going to actually double check to make sure that this is not false, because this just feels wrong. This just feels bad.
It makes me like kind of want to tweet at them and ask them what's going on here.
I just want to tweet them and then just put WUT. What? Like I don't get it.
Hey guys, what happened here? Well, that's really kind of all the news that we have for this week. We spent a lot more time talking about it than I thought we were going to, but we are also going to continue our little streak of blind reviews for Curtis and Swan, and one of them is not here, so just Swan this week, I guess.
Would you like me to do a different sample, knowing that he's not here?
No, we can stick with this one.
All right, we're doing E this week.
We are indeed. Let me get my bottle out.
Let me just rinse out my Glencairn here with some more whiskey, and then
Is that how that works, Swan?
it does when no one's looking at me and I'm in my house by myself.
Is there no regulation in your house for cleanliness?
There's no regulation of the TTB. We just went over this. Did you see that?
Oh, this bottle's getting low for me. I might finish it up tonight.
Ooh. Oh my goodness.
Yes?
This is just like, okay, I know exactly what this is reminding me of. Have you had the popcorn that they drizzle the chocolate over top of it?
Yes.
That right there. Because it's not
It's like-
super like movie, butter popcorn.
No. But there's a very distinct coffee note in there too, I would say.
Yeah. It's like creme brulee almost.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This is a great nose, man.
This is really good. There is a slight corniness to it. I think that's the popcorn thing that I was kind of talking about, but it's not like young corny. It's not like that kind of green note you get on some younger stuff.
Sure. I will say, if I had to give anything about this nose that I don't like, it really kind of leans just in those darker flavors. There's not a lighter, say, like vanilla or baking spices flavor that comes through. It's just like a big ball of dark notes.
Yeah. The palate kind of fell apart for me. It's starting to remind me more and more of the Dickel Bottled and Bond.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know about that, man. I'm going to have to respectfully disagree. I think
fine.
that, and I can confirm this is not that. We didn't double up on reviewing that. I think that it's like, I think it's savory, but with like a heavy caramel note to it.
See, I'm getting it's just kind of young. I don't know. Like on the palate, it's feeling a little more young as opposed to the nose. I don't
Have you
dislike
sipped any
it,
water
though.
recently, Swan?
Yeah, I just did.
Okay. Wanted to make sure that your palate was fresh enough to try this.
I just kind of chewed on it too. It does get better, I will say, because it's not super high proof. I can tell that. It's definitely not 80, but I don't know. I'm liking this more and more the longer I sip on it, but I still retain that it's got some like Dickel quality to it. That's just strange. Like it feels like it's missing to me, like kind of that heavy cherried or citrus or really just aged note. But at the same time, it's
Yeah,
also
sure.
kind of reminding me of like something that's some of those like ultra aged whiskeys where it's like this has been in
Witchies.
Texas. Yeah, it's like the Texas whiskeys where they kind of age super quickly, and even though it's a 2 year, it's like Stag Junior level dark.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting some of that on there. Oh, I'm going between like Iron Root, the Harbinger, and Dickel. It's like in between there for me. I like the nose a lot better. I'll give it that.
Well, we use a review system on the show of nose, palate, finish, and price. Each category is out of 5, and we total everything up for a score out of 20. Swan, what would you give the nose on this one?
The nose, I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
I gave it the same. Look at us.
I think this is easily the strongest point of this bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
The vanilla, like coffee, kind of like not super movie popcorn, but just like that faint popcorn. It's all there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's good. It really takes you all the way around. And kind of what I talked about last week, where it was too much of one thing over and over again. This has definitely got some separation in that, and I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree with you. I'll go back to what I said was kind of my downfall, that there wasn't a lighter note that I kind of wanted to be in there on the nose. So that's what bumped it down to a 3.5 for me. I wanted to kind of lean into the 4 area, but it just wasn't quite doing it 100% of the way on the nose. I gave the the palate a 3.
See, I gave it a 2.5,
Well, I gave the finish a 2.5.
and I gave it a 2.
Oh wow.
Yeah. No, I don't like the finish that much.
It's not that I don't like it. I just don't think that there's much there, honestly.
See, for me, it kind of like fades off into like red hots. It's weird. I get like almost like a. Have you ever had too much cinnamon in something and it stops tasting like cinnamon and it just tastes like that weird like bitterness?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I get that. So far I've got a 3.5, a 2.5, and a 2. So it's not doing super well.
Yeah, and I have a 3.5, a 3, and a 2.5. So all in, I'm at a 9 right now. And so you're at an 8, I think.
Yeah. So what's the price on this one?
This price is retail is about $45.
Yikes.
Are you ready to find out what this is?
Yeah, hit me with it.
This is Woodford double oaked.
Okay.
So you kind of it's interesting because it was like you had all of the pieces that kind of made up what it was essentially. You were talking about like the heavier oak that you would get in like a Texas whiskey. Mm-hmm. You know, from like, because this is a double oak bourbon, of course it's going to have more prominent oak flavors to it. And then you also said Dickel, which, I'm just now realizing that's not, I was thinking of Jack Daniels actually, which is a Brown-Forman distillery. Dickel is not. So in my head, you were close, but not quite there. But anyway, it is really interesting to me that you went for like a Dickel product.
It's just strange to me. I've never been a big fan of Woodford Double Oak, to be honest. You know what it gets used for me is I make bourbon balls with it.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Yeah.
And they're always really good.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like the flavors you want to impart in a bourbon ball where it's like decent high proof, because it's like 94-ish. I like to use anywhere between 90 to 100 for bourbon balls. And honestly, just having it not be that weird like alcohol burn, but you just want so much like oak to impart into the chocolate, because that's, I mean, and sugar, really, that's all it is in a bourbon ball. So that's what I use it for. And this has definitely got an oak like.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it's not subtle in that regard at all. But it's just never my favorite. But I'm also not a big Woodford fan.
Sure. If this is the Woodford product that I typically would say I like the best out of the lineup, aside from like maybe the batch proof. But if I had to, maybe recommend something that's way more readily available, I would definitely go with the Woodford Double Oaked for people. Now that being said, my final score was an 11.5 out of 20, which is not the best score in the world. I give the price a 2.5.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with that as well. Um, I don't know. I think it definitely has its place because I think Woodford is a huge stepping stone for most bourbon drinkers. And I like the idea of you being able to take Woodford's lineup, which is now a wheat whiskey, a malt whiskey, a rye, the regular, the double oaked, and basically trying how, each one and figuring out what grain and parts, what flavor. I enjoy that. I like that aspect. But you can also do it with Jim Beam. I mean, they're not they're not so original in that aspect because the Jim Beam's got a double oaked that I much prefer.
I'd like to do a blind flight of double oaked products. I was thinking about that as you were saying that you like the Jim Beam double oaked better. I haven't had it in a while, but I think I like it better too.
Yeah, I'd like to do what's a third double oaked? Because we got Woodford, Jim Beam.
I can't think of one either. If listeners, you the listener, could send us
1915.
one. What was it?
1915 or 1910 or whatever it is. The old Forester.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That one's double oaked. Yeah.
So we'd have two Brown Forman products and a Jim Beam product.
That's not fair. We can't do that.
Yeah, we'd have to find something else. But listeners, if you can think of one, send it in, and we could include that in our upcoming double oaked blind flight eventually. Whenever we can all be in the same room together.
Yeah. I mean, if we all drink over 120 proof, we'll be fine. So we'll just get hammered and hang out in your nursery. It's fine.
I have to imagine that my wife will frown upon that.
Nah. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah, you're right on that one.
We'll all just sit around in the guest room now.
Yeah. No. I enjoy this for what it is.
Yeah,
It's not
absolutely.
It's not bad. I do like some of the picks of it though. I was a little jealous that Monica got to do a pick, and
oh my gosh, that bottle was so good. I got a sample of it from her, and it was fantastic.
yeah. Which I noticed they've started to change the wording on that, going back to TTB labels. They're starting to call a lot of these barrel selections because I think some of them might be a little pre-blended before you get to try them, instead of single barrels. Have you noticed that on some of them?
I have not actually, no.
Yeah, so if you look at like the Woodford Double Oaked in particular, they start calling them barrel selections instead of single barrels. So I'm wondering if they're blending stuff before they send you the like 3 or 4 sample bottles you get, so that you get higher yield. I don't know. If someone wants to send me 3 barrels of Woodford Double Oaked, even though I didn't give it a rave review, I'll take it. I'll take it.
So Swan wouldn't be upset about it.
No, I'm going to make it through quarantine somehow. In 2 sips of 94 proof bourbon, that's like 188. So I'm doing great.
Yeah, that's how it works, bud. We're gonna leave you with that thing. All right. Well, that was our review for this week. We are reviving not an old segment, but one that we haven't had in a few weeks. It's Barrel Rings. You can leave us a voicemail at 859-428-8253, and we will respond to it on air. I am not sure who sent this one through, so we're going to kind of listen to this together, but here we go.
Well, howdy there, gentlemen. This is Tim Bourbons. I don't honestly know what whiskey you all are reviewing this week, and couldn't really be bothered to find out. But I'll be honest with you, gentlemen, it really doesn't matter, because I just have one question. One question only. Y'all ever had it in a Norland? Very valid question, and just wonder if you all could explore that and just get back to me when you can. Again, my question is if you ever had it in New Orleans? So, all right, well, I better jump off here. I'll talk to y'all later.
Golly.
All right, bye-bye.
Who is that weird person?
It was Sarah.
So to be quite honest with you, Tim Bourbons, I have not had this in a Norland before. Swan, have you?
We can change that right now if you want to, but
All my Norlands are downstairs. Dadgummit.
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. I don't know if we need to.
That was a lot of heavy breathing.
Tim Bourbons.
Jeez.
That's perfect.
We have fun here at This Is My Bourbon Podcast. Oh, goodness. Well, thank you for calling in to Barrel Rings Tim Bourbons. If you also would like to send in a voicemail for next week's episode, one more time, that is 859-428-8253. And we'll respond to it on air. Swan, we got some questions for this week as well.
We sure do. The last one's going to get you there. I don't know if you've seen that one yet.
I just saw it.
Yeah.
Should we get that one out of the way first?
Yeah, let's just go ahead and get that one out of the way. Wow. Joseph Brazo with the tough questions. Perry, would you rather have a boy or a girl? In quotations, there's no wrong answer.
Honestly, I don't care. I just want a healthy baby. I don't know, man. There's stuff to get into that I won't talk about on air. But I would love that. I would love a little baby girl, but I also love a little baby boy. Like, dang it, man! The thought of both just excites me so much. So, here's something I'll talk about for a second, though. You ever heard somebody say, "I just want one of each"?
No.
I have, and I hate it because it sounds like they're just completing a collection.
Is that like, that's my generation, and they're like Pokemon syndrome. You got to catch them all, you know?
So don't say you want one of each. Say you want a boy and a girl. that just it grates on my nerves so badly. Anyway, whatever. I would be happy with whatever comes into this world in early October.
Exactly.
So that's not only the safe answer, but the one that I am sticking with.
That's probably a good one.
Anyway, yeah.
All right. We're gonna go back to the top here. Eric Smith, if you could pick any celebrity, cartoon, TV show, movie, character, athlete, or whoever, not whiskey related, to have a pour with, who would it be?
Oh, I would really enjoy, and this sounds slightly bad, but pre-sober Stevie Ray Vaughan when he was still drinking. Like, if we could have a drink together and play music at the same time, that would be pretty special to me. I don't know. I feel like it would be real fun to sit down with like Ewan McGregor and have a bourbon with him and just have a conversation. I feel like that guy has stories that we don't know about. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he just seems like an unexplored person as far as celebrities go.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. If I had to pick somebody though, Steve Carell.
Oh man, I would love to sit down with Steve Carell.
I think Steve Carell would be amazing to have a drink with. That or Amy Poehler. Like I know I'm picking
I
two of my favorite
oh
TV show characters, but like
Nick Offerman,
Nick Offerman. Yeah. But
duh.
yeah, but still like Steve Carell just it doesn't matter what he's in. It makes me laugh. From like 40-year-old virgin to The Office. Like it's just all of it's good. I thoroughly enjoy every bit of it. All right. This one's from Brian. How do you pronounce that last name?
Woolert?
Woolert. There you go. What band or singer do you most want to put on virtual concert? And would you drink while watching? Cheers. Well, the last part of that question is absolutely.
Oh, he said, "What would you drink while
Oh, what
watching?"
would you drink while watching? Okay. Um, let's see. I would probably have some more of this larceny because I want to enjoy it and not be too drunk. It's it's a little lower proof. And I'd love to see Glass Animals perform. He's been doing some really interesting
Nice.
stuff where he's been doing quarantine covers, and so he's just been
You sent me and Chad a link to that.
yeah, and they're amazing. Like his voice unedited is just wild, and I'd love to see it live.
I am really surprised that John Mayer hasn't done a quarantine show yet or virtual concert, but I would, of course, love to see that. He's one of my favorites. Um, I'm kind of in the mood right now for some more kind of like laid back, chilled music.
Yeah,
Have you ever heard Cigarettes After Sex?
yeah.
Dude, freaking love that band.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be all about just sipping like a red wine and listening to them at the moment. But I mean, I'd go with I don't know, it's hard not to go with turkey. I've been such in the mood recently for Granddad 114.
Yeah,
But I
I'm
also,
always in the
want to
mood for
do my
that.
part. Yeah, I always want to do my part right now too and help stop the spread or kill the infection and drink some 120 proof bourbon. So
Yeah.
by the way, there was a virologist. That's how you say it. Who did confirm that drinking higher proof spirits can actually kill the coronavirus. So,
All right. Perry, before we get to the next question, I just want to address Tim Bourbon's. I am currently having double oaked in an Orland.
oh, how is it? How is it comparing for you?
Still just double oaked. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Thank you, Tim Bourbons, but it's didn't really enhance anything. All right. Greg Reynolds, not necessarily for the show, but who said they liked the Peerless Bourbon? It was me. I like the Peerless Bourbon. I think it's smoky, a little scotchy, and it's kind of wonderful for a 3-year bourbon.
I like the Peerless Bourbon too. I have nothing against it by any means. I just don't want to pay for it. It's such a high price point that I have a really difficult time, just saying, yeah, $100 for a 3-year-old bourbon is fine. So I mean, I don't mind paying 25 for the little 200 mil of it. That doesn't bother me that much.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get it so we could try it for the show way back the win apparently. Jeez.
And this next one's from Patrick Starkey.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. Yes. When are you guys going to make a trip out west? I know a pretty good tour guide.
Is it me?
It's probably you, yeah. But honestly, I don't know. I haven't been out west ever. The farthest I've been is Colorado. I flew there and flew right back, and that was about it.
I did a road trip out west a couple years ago with Lucy's family, and it was amazing. We actually drove all the way there and all the way back. We saw at least half of the United States in about a week, and it was incredible. In all honesty, I've not been to Washington, though. I've not been to California. I've not been to Oregon. I've not been to Washington. So that's 100% on my list. I do love Colorado, though. We stopped there for a night on our way back home.
It's beautiful.
Hopefully
Can't beat it.
soon. Yeah.
All right. Steven Sussman asking the important questions here. Best use of bacon grease.
I feel like he got confused and went to the wrong group.
Yeah,
this
but
one.
since you asked, we're getting in depth here. Like the sausage gravy that you make in the morning, everyone puts little bits of sausage. Do it with bacon. It
Oh, yeah.
works great. Same animal. I mean, why not? And fantastic. Or to bribe Ron Swanson.
Oh, well, that's a good way to do it too. There's got to be like a bacon grease cocktail, right?
God, I hope not.
Somebody's done that.
I hope not.
Somebody's done that. I mean, it's probably the same people who made like a hot dog martini. You remember that?
Yeah. So, I mean, we've got the power of the internet at our fingertips. Let's look it up. Bacon grease cocktail. Let's see.
I'm terrified to find out what this is going to result in.
Bacon infused bourbon recipes from My Recipes. 1 750 milliliter bottle of bourbon and 1/4 cup of warm bacon grease. You know what?
Holy moly! So a whole bottle of bourbon.
Perry, that's a good breakfast right there. You want to talk about brunch? Everyone's sipping on their mimosas, and you're chugging a fifth of bacon grease and bourbon.
That's a good quarantine drink there. For that is hilarious.
God.
Don't do that. Don't do that, people. Don't drink straight bacon grease.
I'm not saying that I want people to do it, but if someone does do it, can you post a picture of you trying it and a Glencairn in the group?
Oh my goodness. I will say though, speaking of odd things and Glencairns, my family's church did virtual communion today, and my dad drank wine out of a Glencairn. So it made me happy.
What a pro.
Yeah, indeed.
All right.
Next question.
Todd Cooper. What distillery that you haven't been to would you like to visit for an interview after the craziness dies down? One distillery from Kentucky and one from outside.
Well, I'd really like to do something with MGP in the future.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Or High West. High West would be awesome.
I wouldn't mind High West. I'm trying to think of outside of Kentucky distilleries. I think MGP is probably a good one. I would really like to visit Dad's Hat.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to find out more about Pennsylvania rye. I've not really dipped into that too much and just kind of want to see what it's about. Inside Kentucky, I've never been to Heaven Hill.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just never been. So I'd like to.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think I'd like to go there next.
Swan, let's make that happen then. I love Heaven Hill. It is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, their products are beautiful, and that's enough for me. I mean, I'm ready to go
fair,
right now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm totally for Heaven Hill. We've done some stuff with them in the past, but not enough to, I think, warrant saying like, we've milked it dry or whatever.
No, there's always something new from Heaven Hill.
Distillery in Kentucky. I mean, we haven't spent enough time with like master distillers or even like Freddie Johnson. We haven't had a full episode with Freddie Johnson yet.
Yeah.
He was on the list for this year. I mean, I wish I could tell you guys how many things we had planned for this year before it all got, it all hit the fan. I mean, we have had to, postpone / cancel our meetup and live show, and it's just stuff that everybody's dealing with. But there were just so many plans that we had for this year, and I heard somebody say, this is the first time that we've all really gone through something like this, and if you say at some point, man, I'm really bummed that I didn't get to do X or I didn't get to experience A or whatever. That's fine. Like, it's okay. You know, we've never dealt with anything like this before. It's fine to feel, you know, some sort of resentment or being upset about this. But you know, we're all going through it. You're allowed to you're allowed to feel things.
Yeah, you're
It
allowed to
sucks.
not enjoy quarantine. I don't think there's many people that do.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are so many untapped bits of conversation and content that we haven't even gotten to within Kentucky, and I want to so badly. And we're going to do whatever we can, you know, remotely to still talk to people. But you know, in the meantime, it's just going to be us, I guess.
Yeah. So now we have a segment I'm very much looking forward to. Tips and bits.
I like Swan taking over on segues. This is really different and quite funny.
Are you ready for this, Perry? I have one of the best tips and bits I think I've ever had.
Okay,
Disney
what
Plus.
What is your
Disney Plus?
Oh
has
yes,
a wonderful selection of movies, and then you scroll down to the classics section, and there's a movie called The Cat from Space.
that's right. You were telling me about this the other day.
It's perfect. There's no flaws. It's amazing. I need everyone to watch it, and I need a full group conversation in our Facebook group. It's fantastic.
We should do. You know what we should do? We should do a virtual movie night, with the Patreon community.
Yes, absolutely.
Where we all drink bourbon and we watch the same movie, whatever it is, dumb or great, and because that would be quite fantastic.
Yeah. And just to clue you in on the plot of this movie, not going to ruin anything. The entire plot is there's a cat that comes crashing down in a very stereotypically shaped UFO, and he gets out and about, finds a scientist, befriends him. Turns out he can talk. His collar lifts things with magic, and by magic I mean the power of his mind. And then the cat decides, oh, I need to fix my spaceship to get back to my people. And what it really means is to fix my spaceship, I need $120,000 in gold. And he looks at his befriended human and he's like, how are we going to do this? Boom. That's the plot of the movie.
Gee whiz.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it sounds like a real winner there, Swan.
Yeah. And there's at some point there's flying scenes and you can fully see the cables that's holding that's holding up the person or thing.
When was this movie made?
I don't know. It's it's a whole thing. Anyways, Perry, what's your tips and or bit?
Hold on. The Cat from Outer Space is a 1978 movie.
That young, huh?
Fantastic.
You've already here.
Fantastic. I cannot
cocktail and watch The Cat from Outer Space.
Oh no. That sounds like a really bad acid trip or something. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, well, golly. You got me all flustered by The Cat from Outer Space there, Swan.
Good.
So I will recommend this because, honestly, it's a little self-indulgent and something I kind of forgot to mention up at the top. But maybe go subscribe to Whiskey Advocate or at least like them on social media because they recommended this very podcast as a podcast to listen to during quarantine or really in general that was whiskey based. And holy crap, that was a huge surprise and something I was not prepared for mentally to see. But really cool. Thank you guys over at Whiskey Advocate for including us in that list.
Yeah, I love the Whiskey Advocate because honestly, there's not many magazines I'd go out of my way to get ever. But that one's in my
Between
house.
that and Bourbon Plus.
Yeah. That one and Bourbon Plus in my house for sure. And I'm going to let you know something. I read them even when I'm not on the toilet. It's that impressive. So they're doing big things over there.
What is happening? I have lost total control of you this episode.
So, I mean, it's a bourbon podcast. What'd you expect?
I'll also recommend something that, I had a lot of fun with on, like I was saying, that live stream that Clifton and I did. Try out some home blends. I think home blends are so cool. And, maybe you've got a couple of bourbons or whiskeys or whatever that you are not that crazy about, and you want to try to improve them. Do a little blend with something else you've got sitting around. I mean, there's no harm in just, pouring an ounce of each into a glass, letting it sit for 30 minutes and coming back to it and, testing it out. So, yeah, that's it.
I'm going to make one after this.
I might too, actually. I might too. Well, I guess that does it for this week's episode. Thank you all so much for listening, especially during quarantine. Please also, I meant to say this last week, but if you are still listening while you are at home, please also download the episodes. That is a great way for me to track how the episodes are performing and who is listening to them and everything. So I know it's just as easy to stream it over Wi-Fi, but if you're listening, just hit the download button. That way I know that everybody's still listening. It really does help me out, make sure that I know what's doing well and what's not. But regardless, I just appreciate you guys tuning into the show every week. So until next week, Swan, where can people find you on social media?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook at My Bourbon Finder.
Yeah, that's it. That's okay. You're done.
Yeah, that's all I got. I'm not much of a social media person nowadays.
You can follow me personally on basically every social media platform at pritter1492. And if you want to follow the show, it is at My Bourbon Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can leave us a 5-star rating and review right in the podcast app on your iPhone. Super easy to do. Helps us out a lot. Pushes us to new listeners. And we'll read out your 5-star review on the show. This one comes from JJF825. Gave us 5 stars, and the headline was, "Love the show." He said, "I started listening to the show just as I was getting into bourbon. I was just trying to learn a little bit about it, but had no idea how much I would enjoy listening to the show each week. It's a ton of fun, and they offer great insight into bourbon. Become a Patreon member, and you get even more content." Great content is what he said. It makes it sound like we paid him to leave that review, but we did not. Thank you so much for leaving that review. He's right, though. You can head to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast, and for as little as $1 a month, you can support the show. And for $5 a month, you get bonus episodes every month. You get the pregame chats that come out the day before each episode. You get live streams and hangouts at $10. And there's some other little perks and rewards that you get over there as well. I know I did the Patreon tag earlier, but it only made sense. You can find all of our apparel and merchandise at bourbonshop.threadless.com. There's a sale that is going on there right now for 15% off everything, I do believe. That's a great way to support the show if you cannot donate to the Patreon every month as well. And you can send us questions or comments to thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. And then last but not least, you can leave us a voicemail for our barrel ring segment, much like Tim Bourbons did earlier on in the episode. What a fine moment that was for all of us. At 859-428-8253. And we'll be happy to listen to your question or comment for us on air. We will respond accordingly. Thank you all so much for listening. That does it for another week of This Is My Bourbon podcast. Swan, I'll see you next time, buddy.
See you, Perry.
All right, but until then, I'm Perry.
And I'm Swan.
And This Is My Bourbon podcast. Bye, y'all.